Okay, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Welcome, everyone, and Happy New Year. I think we're still saying that. I think that the official cutoff is the 15th of January, so I'm going to say Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you here. While people drop in, I'm going to launch a poll to get an idea of how familiar everyone is with GitLab. It's always useful to find out if we're pitching this kind of at the right audience. Yeah, go on and let us know if you've used one of our editions before, if you're brand new to us today. I'll leave that up for a few minutes and just address some housekeeping items in the meantime. If you haven't joined us before, we're going to be doing a demonstration for most of the presentation, so you're not just going to be looking at slides the whole time, don't you worry. And you can ask questions throughout if you like. There's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen for that specifically. So please go in and chat those to us just as soon as you think of them. We'll make sure that we get to them either during the presentation or at the end. There is also a chat function, so if you run into technical difficulties, please do use that to let us know if you're having any issues with sound or something, and someone should be able to get in touch to help you out with that. Interestingly, I see most of you have not used GitLab before, so welcome new people. We hope you find something useful in this today. We have one GitLab.com user, so hopefully this should give a better idea of our self-hosted options for you today as well. I'm going to go on and end the poll, and that's everything that I have. So with that, I'm going to hand you over to John, who's going to be doing the presentation today. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. My name is John Woods. I'm a solutions architect here at GitLab, and it's my job to give these kind of demos to folks who've never used GitLab before, to potential customers, and that kind of thing. I have been in the source control management industry for about 17, 18 years now. So I hope my experience sort of shows through in my knowledge of GitLab. Our agenda today is going to be pretty brief. We have a brief overview of GitLab. I'm going to demo GitLab from idea to production and beyond, with a focus on our Enterprise Edition features. And then we'll take some questions at the end. So for those of you who shared that you haven't used GitLab yet in our poll, then you may only know of us as a version control and code review tool. While that is where GitLab started, we've since expanded our offering to bring issue tracking, social coding, CI/CD, monitoring, and now portfolio management and security scanning into a single UI. GitLab is the only product that covers the entire software development lifecycle. In the demo, I'm going to show how GitLab connects with every step of the development process, helping teams ship quality code faster. So with that being said, let's swap over to my desktop here. For those of you who aren't familiar with GitLab, this is the user interface you're going to see when you first log in to GitLab. It's a list of all the projects that you are a part of. You can see here both as personal projects or other people that have invited you to their projects, or group projects you may have been a part of. You can see here my colleague David has invited me to his XApp project as a developer. For the solutions architect group that I'm a part of, you can see I'm an owner of the release project group, release project. Up in the top right is sort of your personal area of GitLab. It shows the issues that have been assigned to you, the merge requests that have been assigned to you, and your to-do list. The to-do list is interesting in that not only will it show when an issue or a merge request has been assigned to you, anytime your GitLab username is mentioned via an app mention, which I'll show in a little bit, a to-do will pop up in, a new item will appear in your to-do list. In the top left is where you can quickly navigate to projects, the groups that you're a part of, or your activity feed. Let's take a look at creating a new project in GitLab. Quick and easy is the new project button up here in the top right. I'm going to click on this. There's a number of options available here. First of all is just a plain old blank project. I just would type in, I can select either my own namespace or any of the groups that I'm currently a part of. And then you would give it a name of your choosing, a quick little description, and then you set the visibility level. And the visibility level obviously determines who can and cannot see your project publicly. A private visibility level indicates that only you can see it, and you must explicitly grant permission to others to see that project. An internal project can be browsed and viewed by any user with a GitLab username. And a public project means that anybody with access to the GitLab server, whether that's an on-premises server or gitlab.com, can be accessed without any authentication whatsoever. And public projects are good for all your open source style projects. You can create a project from a template. We have 3 built-in templates here, a Ruby on Rails, Spring, and a Node.js templated project. We include some very basics that go along with these projects, including, most importantly, our GitLab-CI YAML file to get you started very quickly with our CI/CD tool. Finally, you can import a project from a number of other Git-based repositories. You can import from an exported GitLab project. You can import from GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab.com, or a Git repo by URL. If I wanted to import a project via URL, one of the features, and this is an Enterprise Edition feature, the first of the day, is the ability to mirror the repository. And what this means is, let's say I have a GitHub project, I import it into GitLab, I set up mirroring, and every hour, my GitLab project will automatically pull down all the latest content from my GitHub repository. Next thing I wanted to show is our group functionality. If I pop into my Solutions Architects group here, GitLab has always maintained that we cover idea to production, that whole software development lifecycle. With our latest Enterprise Edition Ultimate release, we are now getting into before the idea stage, into that portfolio and project management platform. And at the beginning of that is our epics. This is our first iteration of epics, and this is a higher level view of a project or project planning. Within GitLab, groups can be used both as groups of users and groups of projects. These days, projects are growing so big, you might want to break them into each component piece into its own project and store that under a higher level namespace that is a group. And then you can control, you can plan and manage those projects through epics. Also, yeah, and like I said, epics is our first iteration of portfolio management, and it is our first feature as part of our Ultimate Edition. We also have the ability at the group level for group level issues and issue boards. And group level issue boards is another Enterprise Edition feature. And this is analogous to our issue boards at the project level as well. This just covers issues over a number of different groups, sorry, a number of different projects within the group. And you can see here sort of the project name and the issue number for each of the projects these issues are a part of. You can also configure your issue boards by creating a new name, setting what milestones, labels, assignees, and weights that you want to display on your issue boards. And that's another Enterprise Edition feature. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go to my group level issues, and I'm going to create a new issue in Project Omega. Give my issue a title. quick little description. And one of the other features of our issue and merge request descriptions and discussions is they are fully markdown capable, and you can add in all sorts of fun stuff, such as bolding text. You can add in checkboxes. And all the fancy markdown stuff that we're used to. I'm going to assign this issue to a phantom user of mine, Agent Jones, and I'm also going to assign it to myself. The ability to have multiple assignees is also an Enterprise Edition feature. Along with these milestones and weights, these are also Enterprise Edition features. I'll submit that issue. And before I switch over to Agent Jones, another thing I wanted to show was this ability to relate issues between projects. It's entirely possible that one issue in one project is related to another issue in another project, and you can, or even within the same project, and you can either do that, the pound sign to relate to an issue within the same project, or paste the entire URL of an issue from another project. And that's another Enterprise Edition feature. If we go back into our issues and we look at milestones, these milestones are burn down charts. We can see here the number of my milestones started on September 1st. I'm past due. It ended at the end of last year. But we can see the burn down chart based off of both issues, the number of issues remaining, and the weights that have been assigned to those issues. Another new feature within our milestones is it will add up all the time spent on all the issues. Unfortunately, I haven't been putting in the amount of time spent on my issues, but if I had been, the total time, cumulative time would be listed here within the milestone. So let's swap over to another browser, to Agent Jones. If I quickly refresh this page, we should see he has another issue assigned to him, and a to-do just popped up into his list. So if I go into that, we can see right away that he can see a new issue has been assigned to him. So we can go into that issue, and he can see what's been asked of him. You can check that box off because he knows it's been assigned to him. And he can make comments within the issue, sort of that pre-work discussion about the validity or maybe how to go about resolving this issue. But it's pretty straightforward, and I think Agent Jones is ready to get to work. So let's create a merge request. As soon as Agent Jones creates this merge request, two things happen right away. The first is a new branch is created for him. That branch name is right here, 41-reset back to hello world. And so the branch name is based off of the title and issue number of the issue this was created from. The second thing that happens is a review app is created. And that review app, once it goes through the pipeline, allows us to allows code reviewers and managers to go over the work that Agent Jones has done, and for quick and easy visibility. For those of you who want to maybe check out the branch locally, we have a quick little button here. You press that, and it gives you the step-by-step guide to clone or pull the project locally, and how to get working on it on your local machine. So let's go into this branch that we created. And this project is very simple. It's just a basic server.rb file that creates a web server for us, and it displays Happy New Year. We're going to change that. Let's go back a step. This server RB file is built into a container using our Docker file, and then is deployed using our GitLab CI YAML file. So let's go into our server.rb file and let's make a few changes. I know Rebecca said that it's still fine to say Happy New Year, but I think we're beyond that. So let's just reset this back to Hello World. We'll put in a commit message, make sure we're committing to our target branch. We'll commit those changes. And once we do that, we can go into our pipelines tab here. We can take a look at our pipeline that's currently running. If I go here, we can see that our build is running, and we can, let me just collapse this here. We can even look at the build log of what's going on. And the job has succeeded. We can, oops, let's move over to our review stage now. And we can see our review app being built as well. And there we go. And this is creating a new environment for us. So if I go to our environments tab here in our CI/CD menu, we see here's our review app that was created for us, along with our sort of default staging and production areas, which we'll get to in a little bit. So if I go back to our merge request, we see that we have our review app now available for us that we can take a look at. So let's do that. And we can see that it's all been reset back to Hello World. So that's great. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is this WIP tag, which stands for work in progress. And this is created on every new merge request that is created from an issue. And it indicates to people that, that it is a work in progress. You're not ready to merge this back into master yet. So this merge request might not be ready for review. So once I'm ready for this to be reviewed by my code reviewer, I can remove the work in progress tag. I can also assign the merge request back to myself. And of course, I can add comments within here. I can go into my diff tool within GitLab. I can make comments right from within the diff itself. Let's mention myself. And of course, you can also see the pipelines that have been run for this merge request, the number of commits that have been run, and of course the discussion. So I do have merge request approvals turned on. So I'm going to swap back my browser back over to my other browser, back to myself. Let's refresh this quickly. We'll see that I have a to-do on my list and a merge request that's been assigned to me. Let's go to that. And we can see here that I have merge request approvals turned on, and I can approve Agent Jones his merge request. Merge request approvals are another Enterprise Edition feature and a very important one that is built into GitLab as part of the code review and collaborative development process. So let's approve that. And of course, I could remove my approval, or if Agent Jones was to submit a new commit to this branch or merge request, that would actually reset the approval process. So I would have to go back in and reapprove his second commit. But things look pretty good. I'm going to remove my source branch and merge this into master. And this does a couple things for us as well. If I go into our pipelines page while this is being merged, we can see in my branch, I'm running a cleanup. So I'm actually taking down that container, that review app container that I built previously. And in the master branch, I'm rebuilding my container. And then once that's complete, it will deploy it to a staging environment for me. We'll give that a quick second to complete. Let's go see what's going on in there. You see it's been built, and we can take a look at what's going on in staging. It completed while I was going in there. So let's go back into our environments tab. So we can see here our production environment is still our old content, and I can actually view that and see that it still says Happy New Year. And the great thing about a staging branch, a staging environment, is it's minimizing risk for you. When you merge into master, you're not automatically deploying into production. That is hopefully an end goal, that your testing is so foolproof that when you merge into master, you can automatically deploy to production. But for a lot of people, that's a risk they're not necessarily willing to take, and that's perfectly understandable. So that's why we have this ability to create a staging environment first. So when you merge into master, it's automatically deployed to staging. What you see here are Kubernetes deploy boards, and this is another Enterprise Edition feature. We can see that this demo instance is running on GCP with a GKE cluster running in the background. You see I have one pod of my project running here on my staging environment, and I currently have 2 in production. So another way of minimizing risk is doing a canary deployment. Most people might be familiar with the traditional blue-green deployments where you turn off your old code and turn on your new code. So it's a complete swap out, but that can be, again, that's almost as risky as doing an automatic deployment to production. So we have this concept of a canary deployment. Let me get that started. And what this does is it takes a smaller percentage of your production environment and makes it your new code. And you can roll that out in steps as needed. In this case, I'm going to be creating 2 canary pods. So in my case, 50% of my production environment will now be a canary deployment. So we can see once that completes, there we go. I have 2, the ones with the orange dot are my canary deploys, and the regular green boxes are my production environment. And I can take a look at that. So there's my new code, and every time I refresh, oh, it's not. This happened previously. I'm not sure why, but it's not swapping between pods for me like it should be, which is unusual. So we're talking about GitLab going from idea to production. So we're actually going beyond production as well. We're into monitoring as well. So if I bring up our Prometheus monitoring stats for my production environment here, we can see, and this is in my project here, I've turned on my Prometheus monitoring that's built into GitLab. I have not done any configuration whatsoever. But we can see automatically we're measuring error rates, our latency, our throughput, and our CPU and memory usage. On top of that, we are also measuring our production versus our canary environment. So we can see how our canary deployment is reacting in a true production suite. These metrics that compare our canary versus our production environment is yet another Enterprise Edition feature. Once we're happy that our canary deployment hasn't necessarily broken everything in production, we can go back and we can do a final deployment from staging into production. And what this is going to do is it's going to create 2 new pods for us with our new code, and then it's going to take down the old pods and take down those canary pods as well. We can see that happening in real time via our Kubernetes deploy boards. So a few other things I'd like to show is, if I go back to my solutions architect group here, is our contribution analytics. This is a great way of showing what users have been making commits, pushing to the project, creating merge requests, issues. Let's see Let me just increase the time frame on this. And these contribution analytics are another enterprise edition feature. This is great for managers and head of product to see who is contributing to your project, especially helpful if it's an open source project. Another enterprise edition feature, let's see if that's in here. Let's go back to my project. Is our audit events. And this is a great way of seeing of managers being able to audit their project to see whose user access has changed, who is new to the project, and who might be accessing their code. As well, if I go into my repository, I can go to my server RB file if I'd like, and I can lock a file. File locking is another enterprise edition feature. And usually wouldn't be locking a small file like this, but it's a great way for making sure that your large binaries, images perhaps, because those binaries can't be merged together. So you want to make sure that people aren't overwriting other people's work by accident. And you can also see a list of locked files in GitLab as well. And actually, we just saw that there. From our repository list, you can see it's been locked as well and who locked it. Lastly, let's go into our repository settings. Let's talk a little bit about push rules. Push rules are ways of, they can be set on a per project basis and actually can be set globally via the admin panel. And these are another enterprise edition feature that allow you to restrict who can commit to the project. You might want to enforce GPG signed commits. You might just want to make sure that the author is indeed a GitLab user. You can prevent committing secrets into GitLab, and we have a list of particular file names that we automatically reject when this feature is enabled. You can enforce certain commit messages. Perhaps you want to include some kind of issue number as part of every commit, so you might want to put that as part of the commit message. You may want to enforce a branch naming policy or prohibit certain file names from being pushed into GitLab. As well, on this page is our pull and push mirroring. We talked about pull mirroring earlier when I was creating a new project. And that can also be enabled after the fact through this functionality. By the same token, you can enable push mirroring. And this is when commits are made to your GitLab project here. You can automatically push those commits to a downstream provider, say GitHub or something along those lines. So that covers my demonstration for today. Sort of showing our GitLab's idea to production and beyond with portfolio management and monitoring. This demo was done using an Enterprise Edition Ultimate instance. Naturally, we didn't walk through everything that our Enterprise Edition has to offer, but this slide here includes some of the key capabilities that customers purchase GitLab Enterprise Edition Ultimate for. For example, large development teams use GitLab to enable collaborative, yet controlled workflows that ensure your source code is kept safe. Features like merge request approvals and protected branches make sure that changes to your source code are tracked and approved before they're merged. I've shown how you can use GitLab's built-in CI and CD to improve code quality with automated testing, as well as how you can use canary deployments to minimize the risk of a deploy. We didn't get to cover too much of our built-in monitoring tools today, but I wanted to call out that our metrics and monitoring tools can help maintain code quality and application performance. We're always happy to cover monitoring in our next webcast, or feel free to reach out if you want to learn more. Then finally, scale and support. If you're using GitLab for large development teams or mission-critical projects, then you likely want Enterprise Edition Premium or Ultimate. It's built with features that are ideal for large distributed teams that need the commercial guarantees of geo-replicating mirrors, disaster recovery, high availability, support, and training. And like I mentioned, contact us if you'd like to learn more about our Enterprise Edition. We're going to move to our Q&A session now, and we'll see how many questions came in.
Thanks, John. I realized after I handed over to you that I was so busy welcoming everyone and I didn't actually introduce myself. I'm Rebecca. I work on the content team. We do also have our support lead, Lee, who is standing by to answer your questions. We know from the poll that we ran at the beginning that most of the audience is new to GitLab today. So we haven't had any questions just yet. And it may be because there's a lot to take in if you're brand new to GitLab. But you have a chance now to send in your questions if there's anything you want to ask or there's anything you'd like to see us go over in more detail. Now's your chance. I'll give you a couple minutes just to send those in if you've got anything else. You can also always email webcasts@gitlab.com if there's anything that comes to you afterwards. And we will send you the recording afterwards as well, so you can review this at a time that suits you if there's anything that you want to go over again. Yeah, last call for any questions. There's nothing pressing. We could start wrapping up, I guess. Give people a chance while we just go through the last couple slides. We are interested to know if this demo was useful to you today. We're always tweaking the kind of how we run things to make sure that you're getting the most out of this as possible. I'm going to chat the link to this Google form to you because obviously you can't click on it as John is screen sharing. But I'm going to chat the link to you now, and we will also send it in our follow-up email, so you can let us know if there's anything that you thought we went over too quickly or didn't spend enough time on. And we've just had a question come in, I think. Lee has already answered it. Lee is like our ninja in the background taking care of Q&A. So if there's nothing else coming up, I think we can wrap this up. Lastly, if there's anything that you want to chat to us about in more detail, you can always reach out to sales@gitlab.com. We can sometimes arrange demos specifically for your needs if there's anything in particular that you're interested in using GitLab for. So yeah, if that's all from today, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, John, for the presentation. And yeah, have a great day. We'll see you next time.